Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Bluegrass Cup Series. Here tonight, we are some fill-in broadcasters. My name is William Tiller. I am joined by my co-pilot of the evening, Jacob Reeves, and Adam Flieger is the main producer giving you all those sights and sounds of the tricky triangle here tonight. Jacob, I couldn't be more excited to take on these next gens here tonight at a course that not everybody likes, but they're excited to take on.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very interesting race for all of these guys. Next Gen Cup cars at Pocono Raceway. If you're not familiar with Pocono Raceway, it's basically 3 turns of hold your breath every single time you go into the turns. All 3 turns completely different from the one that was right after it. The first turn really banked and really wide. The second turn really short and actually very narrow. And then turn 3 is flat and long. I mean, any of these guys trying to set up these cars in any way, shape, fashion, or form, fixed or custom setup, they're going to have their hands full trying to set this car up to get it to where they want it. But more importantly, with an 85-lap race, these guys are going to have their hands full just trying to be able to make their braking points and be able to keep the car clean in this race. That's the big key here, especially coming off of turn 2, turn 1, turn 3. Matter of fact, all the turns is just not pushing up and getting into the fence. But turn 2 is always the one that usually seems to bite everybody.
Yeah, they like to call this the Frankenstein of these NASCAR tracks. And our producer of the evening here off air tried to test me on this track here tonight, Jacob. They made some modifications to it as of late, but you just described it perfectly here. It's a different track each corner.
Yeah, it's an absolute crazy track, honestly, and something that, I mean, these guys probably won't even race anymore the rest of the season. I mean, I know the NASCAR Cup Series, they don't race anything like this. I mean, usually they've got 4 turns or more. This right here is 3 straight turns. I mean, you see it over in turn 3, the little sign on the wall, what turn 4? Yeah, because there's not one. If you win the race, your turn 4 would be going in victory lane. But, I mean, just very, very crazy track. You're going to see some serious speed out of some of these guys. We're actually watching some of them in qualifying in excess of over 185 miles an hour going down the front stretch, also hitting around 190. So 185, 190 be the top speed going into turn number 1, and they're going to have to make sure that they don't lock their brakes up big time going into that turn, because that's when it can get really chaotic.
Yeah, you just talked about that speed, Jacob, as we're going to take a look at the track now. Some drivers are going to take this qualifying run, as you're going to see Jason Bridges into the corner here, racing out of H-Town. That's Houston right there in that Ford Mustang. Right off the corner here, Jacob. And, you know, it's not a lot of times we get to call these next gens. What are some of the things that at home these folks should be looking for? I know the aerodynamics on these things are very, very crazy.
Well, I personally race these weekly in another series, and I can tell you this, what you're going to see out of these guys, you're going to see a lot of shifting. A lot of shifting. Not necessarily like you would see in the Xfinity cars or the truck series. These cars right here have got a sequential gear shifting box, and they can go all the way to 5 gears, which is completely different than what you would see in the Xfinity car, which will be your normal H pattern shifter. So basically what they're going to be doing is they're basically just going to be pushing forward or backward, whichever way they've got their setup to make or for that shift. But you want to be able, I mean, 5th gear is as high as it goes. You're going to see some of these guys dropping down into 4th gear, going in every single turn, turn 1, turn 2, and turn 3 to get the most speed that they possibly can, get the most rotation out of that car. And what you're also going to see is when they downshift it into 4th, they're going to have more RPMs, and that right there will cause the car to step out on them. So we look like we got about 29, 30 guys in here, Will, and it's going to be really crazy to see exactly what happens and see when everybody's going to shift I would think a lot of them would shift at the same time, but you may see some of them just ride it in 5th gear and just ride it all the way around the track. But the fastest way is to do what we call the money shifting.
Yeah, we love to hear that here, and we saw our producer sort of flash those point standings on the screen here. Just a few races into the season here in this Bluegrass iRacing Cup Series. GT Hawkins is currently your points leader with 2 top 5s and 2 top 10s on the season. We'll watch him take the grid here in just a little while. But right now, the man with all the speed is Jonathan Cofield. He's running a 5.361 is the top speed so far as this qualifying session is just heating up.
Yeah, and believe it or not, they're actually not too far off. I mean, 7/100ths of a second between Cofield and Atkins. I actually watched Atkins do a little bit of practice. Looked like he was trying out that money shifting a little bit off of turn number 4, and I think he actually finally got it down pat, at least for one lap right there. So very good lap by both of these guys right here. Both of these guys, the only ones to hit a 53.6, and then you got James Silvers back there. He's the first one on a 7. So basically, you're looking at the top 8 cars, every single one of them. Now it's the top 9 cars, have ran faster than a 54-second lap time. That's flying around this 2.5-mile racetrack.
Yeah, talk about flying. Let's talk about the man that's on top of the points grid right now, GT Hawkins. A ride on board him racing out of Columbus, Ohio right now as he goes down into what could be called the first corner here at Pocono. Nobody really knows, but we'll watch GT take this lap.
Yeah, you're going to see Hawkins jumping down in right here. There, we're talking about the money shifting, going from 5th to 4th to get as much RPMs as he possibly can. He's going to drive it right here off of turn number 1, and then you're going to see him go up in to 5th gear. Some guys like to keep it right there in that 4th gear, but there he goes up into 5th. Now he's going to money shift back down into 4th gear, come around this very tight turn 2. You're going to see guys try to get too wide, or going through turn number 2. That's when it's going to get really chaotic for those drivers to figure out what they need to do to try to maneuver themselves and not get in a bad spot, not try to pinch somebody up at the wall. But there you've seen him, turn 3, downshifted to 4th, back up to 5th as soon as he gets off turn 3, and he is moving right now. Hawkins put down a pretty good lap right there. So we'll see what he can do. I mean, you talked about it, Will. He's the current points leader right now. Hawkins right now sitting 10th on the board, just outside that 53-second lap time.
Yeah, first lap was pretty hot as you imagine. Right now we're still riding on board GT. The down, I like to call it the slanted straight here at the Tricky Triangle. In the last set of corners right now, see if he can better that time that he had before. Up in the paint scheme on GT's car right now. We'll see if he advances that point time right now. We're going to check out Mikel Robinson, though, in that 45. See what kind of lap time he can put forth there, racing out of the West Coast, Riverside, California, represent.
Yeah, and you don't really see a lot of people, or at least I haven't seen a lot of guys racing out of California. This is actually very nice to see the widespread, I guess you could say, of iRacing. I mean, a lot of people think that, iRacing basically is just around the Charlotte area, maybe up north, but iRacing goes all over the country and all over the world. I mean, there's people that races up in Canada, all the way up in Alaska. I mean, there's people that races all the way in Europe, France, whatever. I mean, you would think, a lot of people sit there and think, well, yeah, I mean, they just, it's just a bunch of Southern guys. But, I mean, iRacing has grew into this big thing that is outstanding to see, with just more and more subscribers coming online. You see Radburn right here looking like he's going to be able to see if he can put down a real good lap right here. We'll see what happens. And another thing about Pocono that I was going to say, everybody at home, they're sitting there looking at this. This track is so wide. It's about as wide as you would see like Talladega. Basically like Talladega, 5 lanes wide. These guys can literally do that. So you're going to see some crazy restarts as well here at Pocono.
Yeah, it's right now qualifying session, just about a minute or so of wrapping up. I think a few more drivers will take a lap just to see if they can better their first time. Right now, though, still Jonathan Goldfield at the top of the grid, running at 53.61. We can knock them off, but you mentioned it, Jacob, very, very tight. We see our top 10 on that scoring pylon if you're watching along with us here in the Bluegrass iRacing series. Our entire top 10 all with 53s, as we're going to show that Cup Series point standings. GT Hawkins right there. Look at Bradburn, John Schwartz right there as well. Very tight in the point standings, very tight in the qualifying session as well.
Yeah, very, very tight, and you can see it right there. Basically, the top 11 cars, all of them under 54 seconds, basically going all the way from first all the way to 11th, separated by 0.3 of a second. Folks, that don't sound like, that might just sound like, oh, it's 0.3 of a second. Well, that's about as fast as you can, almost blink your eyes. So that is very, very, very tight as far as the times go. And this field is pretty stacked right here. So we'll see if GT Hawkins, that's the guy that we really need to keep our eyes on. Looks like he's going to be starting around the 12th position, the first guy to not to be able to hit that 53 second lap time, So he's leading the points right here. We'll see if he's going to be able to maneuver himself up to the front and see if he can keep that points lead.
Absolutely, as it looks like our starting grid is set here tonight at the Tricky Triangle. To break down tonight's format, we're going to run 85 laps here at this wonderful Pocono Raceway. 4 sets of tires on these next gens. We're going to have a stage break, if you want to call it that, Jacob, at around the lap 35 marker. So once that leader crossed the lap, or 36, that yellow flag's going to fly. But here tonight, the starting lineup is ready to rock and roll. Jacob, let's get it kicked off as our pole sitter, Jonathan Caulfield, will ride off first here tonight. Rolling off second, we have Jonathan Adkins. Third position is the 7 machine, Jonathan Schwartz. Fourth, we have the 17 of James Silvers. Fifth position is the 8 of Mike Kostek. Sixth position, we have Mikhail Robinson in that Toyota. Seventh position, we have the 88 of Wes Wangand. 8th position, we have the 80 of Drew Prohl. 9th position, we have the 84 machine of David Farmer. And rounding out our top 10 is the 85 of Daniel Cunningham.
And then going from 11th, we got Raphael Hubie. GT Hawkins, we keep on talking about him. He is your current points leader. Sitting in 12th, Lucas Lyons 13th. Jeff Foyt 14th. Barrett Morton 15th. Looks like we got Tony Iverson, he's going to be 16th. Justin Winters is going to be 17th. Dustin Rhinestale is going to be 18th. Matt Greener 19th. And Jason Bridges is going to round out the top 20.
Yeah, 21st position, we have Alex Healy. 22nd position is the 91 of Casey Ryback. 23rd position is the 42 of Cody Anderson. 24th position, we have the 44 of Radburn Scutters. 25th position, we have the 99 of Ryan Smith. 26th position, we have RS Center. 27th position, we have the 49 of Chuck Blake. 28th position, we have the 9 of Brennan Holden. 29th position, we have Bill Miller. And 30th position, we have Sean Kaiser.
And then you got TJ Hanley. He's going to round out the 32 car field tonight. One guy that I think we actually need to keep an eye on, he actually did not take a time in this qualifying session. That's going to be the 9 car, Brandon Holder. We just talked about it. He was actually putting down some serious lap times in practice coming out of Mammoth Spring, Arkansas. There's a Southern boy. That's what we like right there. Got a Southern boy, but he's going to have a lot of work to do all the way starting back in the 29th position. But from what I've seen, I was watching, a good bit of practice before this race. He looked like he knew what he was doing here at Pocono. So he might be one of those guys right here, possibly coming up to this stage break that we're going to look as one of the biggest movers. At least that's from what I was seeing. He looked like he was turning some very, very fast laps in practice.
Take us around the track. things we're going to get on and popping here in the Bluegrass Racing Cup Series right now as Jonathan Cofield will take us to the drop. Jacob just mentioned we'll have stage 35, but until then, folks, buckle in, get ready for some next-gen Cup action as Jonathan Cofield takes the green flag down to corner number 1.
Cofield's going to keep it on the bottom right here. Adkins may be trying to see if he can find some type of room to be able to get down on the bottom. Look like Schwartz is not going to be side by side with Schwartz and Adkins. And then everybody else trying to catch up to him. We actually got a caution already on the speedway, Will.
Yeah, first caution on the racetrack already. I wanted to mention to the folks at home as well, no fast repairs for the drivers here. So if you see your favorite driver in an early entanglement, let's check out this Cofield supply and service caution flag or replay, Jacob.
Yeah, and it looks like it was RS Center in the 10 car. Looks like maybe got a little bit of help. Yeah, he got a little bit of help going into the corner right there with Charles Blake. Looked like he just kind of slid straight up into him. One thing about it, though, Ryan Smith looked like he checked up really, really hard. And it just made Blake make a daring move to try to see if he could get around him. But honestly, Will, that was some serious neck code. I'm telling you, you could take my Silverado and almost put it right between both of them. That's how crazy that neck code was.
Yeah, folks, if you're just listening to the broadcast here, that was our Cofield supply and service caution flag instant replay. What Jacob was just describing is a little ghost that likes to come on the racetrack and push cars together when they're not actually touching one another. So we like to call an iRacing net code. But folks, that brings out our first caution of the night. Didn't look like too heavy of a damage to anybody involved, Jacob, so it looks like we're just going to keep things moving and grooving.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like Center just kind of just threw it straight into the fence backwards. That's not going to affect him with the front of, the front of his car, so he's not going to have to worry about any engine damage or any type of overheating issues. Just looks like he's going to have the back end maybe cracked up just a little bit, but I mean, you talked about it, Will. I mean, we hate that little ghost that flies around this track, flies around iRacing in general. I mean, it's happened to me plenty of times in any type of racing that I do. It's just one of those things that, you know, net code is just, it's something that I wish we could get rid of, but it's never going to go away. It's just one of those things where IP addresses just doesn't match up. And I mean, it's sad to see that, especially this early in the race. But doesn't look like Center's car is that bad, so I think he'll be just fine and be able to carry on.
As right now, we do see a couple cars down pit road, and as we have this sort of pause in the action as we're under this yellow flag, we have 4 sets of tires here tonight, Jacob. How important are those tires going to be in this 85-lap shootout?
I think they're going to be really more worried about the fuel, honestly, Will. I mean, this track has been very notorious for fuel mileage races. You know, if some of our listeners can remember back around the, I'd say 2015, 2017, somewhere in that range, NASCAR Cup Series race, there was a bunch of guys that was running out of gas just over and over. Just right there with right there within the last 5 laps, people just running out of gas left and right. So this track, much like Michigan, is one of the tracks that's going to be really, really tough on these guys for fuel mileage. But as far as the tires go, I mean, I think that they'll be okay. It depends on what they do in the car. It depends on how hard they push these cars. I think they're going to be really more worried about the rear tires because, as I said earlier, all the money shifting that they're going to be doing with these cars, they're going to heat up those rear tires. So that's one thing that they really need to be watching out for now.
Yeah, and let's talk about that. These drivers are going to be working with 18 to 20 laps of fuel here tonight. Insider information. And we talked about the 85-lap race here, stage break at lap 35. 4 sets of tires on these race cars here tonight. Action just kicked off there, folks. We're just about 6 or 7 laps into this race. Caution flag flew. Oh, Jonathan Cofield at the top of the grid under Jacob as things are going to kick off once again. We see that the pace lights are off. In the air, we're going to try to conquer this tricky track.
It was something else, like I said, when they was qualifying. This track, like I said, very, very wide, 5, maybe even 6 lanes wide if they can pull it off. And you see them right here going down what I would like to call the back stretch, I guess you could say, here in Pocono. You see that dotted yellow line down there on the bottom of the track. They can go below that. They can go anywhere on the track to improve their position, not like they would at Atlanta, Talladega, or Daytona. So this place can get really wide, really fast here in Pocono. So we're going to really see what these guys want to do. Some of these guys that's in the back to try to advance their position before that stage break. We're going to see how wide they can really get.
Jonathan sounds like a old Nickelodeon TV show. They'll take us to the drop of the green flag. That is Jonathan Cofield and Jonathan Swartz. That is first and second race right now on the racetrack. Flag in just a second as we come off that shot right here. If you're watching along with us here on the Bluegrass Racing Cup Series, Jonathan Cofield will take the green flag.
To go up there, he gets a great restart right here going into turn number 1. Right here coming off of turn number 1, he will not. Schwartz will slide up in front of him. He will go to second. Kostek's going to be in third. Atkins fourth. James
continues down in the corner right now. Corners right now as this race is coming down just a little bit. As Jonathan Cofield saw this.
He does need simplified. Trying to get the draft, see if he can be able to suck up the Cofield best he can. For tonight, we're going to see that a lot. Right now, on the inside, we'll see if he's going to get him right here in turn 2.
For a second, this is a battle we just saw.
Possibly can. We know we got a long race to go, 85 laps in this race. Some of these guys back here battling it out. Looks like it's going to be Weigard and Farmer, David Farmer, and an 84 car, all of them back there trying to see
for that, folks. Our race leader is Mike Kostek in that 8 machine. Our race leader, Jonathan Cofield, just all the way down to 10 just now. Time here tonight, the tricky triangle, just as I was trying to investigate what was happening to Jonathan Cofield.
And it looks like it was Tony Iverson and Lucas Lyons. Looked like he was going into turn number 1. Lucas tries to make a little bit of a move right here, and he just pushes straight up the track and gets into Iverson. And here comes everybody in the field just trying to be able to get around him. You're going to see it right there. Lyons gets up into Iverson just a little bit, pushes up right there, and then here comes everybody trying to slow it down the best they can. Will, you talked about this. No fast repairs in this race. So all these guys that if they accumulate any of this damage, this is going to affect them for the rest of the race. And some of these guys actually got a little bit of front end damage. So that's going to hurt in the long run. But if you're going to get any of this damage, right now is the time to get it, because you got over 70, 75 laps to be able to get every bit of the thing.
See right there, our second caution of the that is our Cofield Supply and Service caution flag instant replay here tonight. And folks, as we have our second caution of the night, we'll take our first break of the evening. We'll be right back with more Bluegrass iRacing Cup Series. Everybody to the Bluegrass iRacing Cup Series. My name is William Tiller. I'm joined here tonight by my co-host of the evening, Jacob Reeves. And Jacob, we're coming back from break from our second caution of the evening. For the folks that may have missed what happened there, what happened that caused things to get a little hairy there in the corner?
I think it was just somebody just trying to get back in the gas lines, gassed up. Looked like he had a very good entry going into the turn. And looked like he just tried to gas it up a little bit, and the car just would not turn. Very, very typical, I guess you could say, for these next-gen cars. I myself have gotten very, very tight, I guess you could say. And for viewers at home that don't know what or don't understand what I'm saying, the tightness is just so tight you can't turn it. It's basically like a bottle cap on top of a Coca-Cola bottle. If it's so tight, you're not able to turn it. Now, loose would be the same thing. It's loose on top of the bottle. You're able to turn it as much as you can. So, that being said, yeah, I think it was just lines just got a little bit tight on the bottom and just slid up into Tony Iverson. I mean, it's just a racing deal. I mean, it's nothing, that none of these guys has got against one another. It's just everybody's racing hard, trying to get what they can. I mean, like I said, we talked about it. We're coming up to a stage break at lap 35. They want to try to get up front as best that they can.
Absolutely, folks. We have that timing fixed for you folks at home. Jonathan Cofield is still our race leader. Not only that, he's one of the fastest lap time of the race so far. Right now we have Mike Austin out there, Jonathan Schwartz, Jonathan Atkins, James Sobers, David Farmer, Raphael Hero, Wesley Wiggins, Drew Cole, and GT Hawkins rounds out our top 10. We see the points leader, GT Hawkins. We can see why he leads those points, Jacob. Right now, he's just lingering inside the top 10.
Yeah, very consistent right here with GT Hawkins, trying to just maneuver his way to the front, just little by little. I mean, he knows it's a long race. We still got a lot of time left for him to be able to try to make some moves to be able to get to the front. But going back to something that you was talking about, the Jonathan and Jonathan show, we got 3 of them, if I'm not mistaken. Only 3 Jonathans in this field. I have a 32-car field. So if you had a race pool going on and you had just any Jonathan, you already got your odds. Yeah, you got your odds already good, especially with all of them running inside the top 5 right now.
And another thing to look at as well, mostly Chevys inside of that top 10 and these next-gen race cars. Watch out for that right now as the base lights are off here once again. Jacob, you just touched on it here. That stage break is right around the corner, so we'll have a shootout. Until then, Jonathan Cofield, though, has done a great job on these restarts, separating, getting out in that clean air.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about that right there is Cofield actually on that restart actually took the top. This time he's actually going to be on the bottom of Jonathan Schwartz. So, very, kind of just want to see, what he's doing. He might be trying to figure out what's the best line for these restarts. I mean, he got the best choice. I mean, he gets to choose inside or out, so he might be just trying to feel it out. But we'll have Cofield right here on the bottom.
As Cofield revs that engine up, takes the green flag. Jonathan Cofield, our race leader from the start of this race, our race leader down to 1 and 2.
And Cofield, once again, just like he did on the last restart, is going to get a great jump on the field. Adkins actually is going to get a real good shot right here at Swartz. They're going to go side by side coming off of turn number 1. Swartz not going to try to throw Adkins up in the fence, doing a really good job of keeping it off of him. Watch out for old David Farmer back there, started about 9th in this race, all the way up to 5th. And he's got Kostek right on his back bumper. These top 5 guys are going at it, seeing if they can catch Cofield.
Yeah, David Farmer up 5 spots from the drop of the green flag, running pretty quick lap times here tonight. Fastest lap around was a 54.52. Pretty consistent at 84. Machine has the paint scheme to match the last name, looking like a red Farmer here tonight. Solid inside the top 5.
And you're going to see him once again. Everybody snaking going down this front stretch, trying to get whatever draft that they possibly can. One guy that I'm actually keeping my eye on right now is going to be Mikael Robinson. Actually started this race in the 6th position, all the way back in the 13th spot. But right in front of him, well, I called this before the race. 9-car Brandon Holder started 29th all the way up in 12th. Better watch this 9-car right here. He is starting to make some moves trying to get to the front.
Yeah, the 9 as well as the 8 right there to the inside of David Farmer. The 8 machine has been lingering inside the 5, but we just saw a big mover in front of these two right there. Looked like Jonathan Swartz up there as well. We have a battle for second brewing up just in front of these guys as Red Farmer, I'm going to call him Red Farmer the rest of the way here. He's still under fire into 1.
Yeah, but he is actually going to pull away from Kostek. Maybe see if he can get a shot at Swartz right here going into turn 1, literally up his back bumper. I mean, if we had a nose cam, he probably would have been able to see everything up under that car, check it for tech, coming up to the end of the race later on. But Farmer giving Swartz everything he can handle right here at the start of this race. Only 13 laps into this race, but these guys, some of these guys are racing like it's 5 to go, honestly, Will.
Yeah, and I love this shot right now. We're going to ride on board with Jonathan Swartz. We'll see the battle that he has in his rear view right now. Watch the front cockpit view as well. He is just sandwiched between 2 hungry dogs. He's the driver of the iRacing 95 Chevy Camaro. He's also a VRX World competitor, and you see why right now. He's taming the tricky triangle 7 machine, staying inside the podium position.
And Farmer was actually being able to get around Swartz right there. Some move. Red Farmer, David Farmer, however you want to look at it, all the way up to 3rd. One of the biggest movers, I guess you could say, in this field, all the way from 9th to 3rd. Farmer looking pretty good. Kostek's not looking too bad neither, right about where he started at. But once again, some of these guys back here in the back, Brandon Holder, all the way now, he's inside the top 10. Looks like he's going to see if he can get a Wygan right here for 9th, see if he can get him.
Yeah, and Jonathan Swartz has a courtside seat to this battle right there. As you see, Farmer's going to clear. Now Jonathan Swartz is turned to the inside of the 57 machine right now. He's trying to advance up and no, right there as Jonathan Atkins is going to slam the door into the corner. And you see that single file lane. They're still trying to chase our leader, Jonathan Cofield, still leading the way around the corner.
We got a 5-car breakaway up at the front. Kostek's going to be the tail end Charlie of that 5-car breakaway. I mean, if you're going to be at the tail end of anything, that's exactly what I would want to be, is up there in the top 5. Leader's actually gapped from Hubie already 2 seconds. So great gap right here. Great pace by some of these guys up front.
It looked like we just had contact there on that slanted straight back here in this mix of drivers. The 15 machine made contact with the wall, but we'll check out Brandon Holder in this 9 machine. Pretty clear right now. The 9's running a clean race, up 17 spots from the drop of the green flag. One of our biggest movers just outside of that top 10 as we're creeping up to that stage break. You see Cofield way out of line right there. Jacob, why is he doing that on the entry of the corner? Is it to break that draft?
Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. He's breaking the draft from David Farmer, who has now moved all the way up into the second position. So Farmer's really starting to make some headway. But you're going to see Cofield right here. Looks like he's actually going to try to come down just a little bit. You really won't see it right here on the back stretch and coming off of turn 2 going into 3. You really won't see him go all the way down to the bottom because that will mess up his entry going into 3. Now, Cofield's got to watch what he's doing while he is breaking that draft. He is trying to keep Farmer back, but it's also going to mess up his entry going into turn 1. Looks like he's doing a pretty good job being able to hold them all at bay. But I'll be honest with you right here, you better watch Farmer. He is coming, got a great run right there off of turn number 3. He may have something to say right here with Cofield.
Yeah, Farmer's right on that back bumper. Also has a few hungry dogs. Looks like we have about a 5-car separation from the rest of the field right there at the top. See right now as this race is playing out, we're 17 laps or so into this race. We're going to go to lap 35 will be our stage break. 2 cautions into this race so far here tonight. Other than that, Jacob, been a pretty quiet race. A few battles inside the top 5. Other than that, everybody's been passing it the hard way.
Yeah, and we actually got a caution on the speedway now, Will, but I agree with you. Everybody's keeping it real calm, at least not right now. We got a caution on speedway.
We do, just as I mentioned the word caution, we have another Cofield Supply and Service caution flag here at Pocono, our third of the evening. We'll see what brought it out here, Jacob.
And I am actually looking for it right now from where I'm sitting at in the press box. Kind of hard to see what brought that caution out on the speedway. We'll see if we can, I'll see if I can find it. Yeah, right there. Raphael Hubie actually stopped right in the middle of the track. Wow, I mean, just straight up locked it down. That almost looked like a burnout that John Force would make, except that's with the front tires locking up right there. Don't know why that caution came out. I don't know. Race control might not like that too much.
The 21 machine, Raphael Hubie there, and it totally slipped my mind, Jacob, there as we checked out that Cofield Supply and Service caution flag instant replay. We just had a driver that did that at the start-finish line. It just slipped my mind who that was.
I mean, I'm still curious on why Hubie did that. I mean, I'm looking and trying to find, if there was some type of contact that he might have had. I mean, he was all the way up in the 6th position when all of this happened, and he just straight up just locked it down. I mean, I don't know if he needed a caution that bad or if he had to go take a leak or what. I don't know exactly what it was, honestly, Will. I mean, that's just crazy just to see that right there.
It is absolutely crazy to see. We also have 3 cautions on the racetrack here, Jacob. And it looks like everybody is going to head down pit road here. We talked about those windows on tonight's event. Looks like these drivers are right out there as Jonathan Cofield will take us down pit road.
And I assume and I believe every single driver will come down and get 4 fresh tires and fill it all the way up. They'll be able to make it to the end of the stage with what they're going to fill up with right here. Some of these guys some of them actually look like they were staying out on the track. Not real sure if those were wave around cars or not, but everybody just trying to get in right now, get them 4 fresh tires, fill it up full of gas, and just make it to the end for this stage break.
Yeah, as the drivers are down pit road here, Jacob, and as you just talked about, these drivers are going to be focusing on tires here. We're going to check out this replay once again. Put out our 3rd caution of the evening. This looks like this one was a lot more clear than our last caution.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Smith looked like he kind of got up into whoever that was. Wow, I mean, just a straight nail right there. I mean, he just nailed that right there. 0-8, which would be TJ Hanley. Looked like he kind of got into Ryan Smith a little bit and just straight down into the wall right there. That's a hard hit right there, Will, for anybody, here at Pocono, right into the left side door. You can see the fenders on the left front just popping around and going crazy. So, wow, I mean, that's a hit right there. I'm telling you.
Absolutely. And again, that was our Cofield Supply and Service yellow flag instant replay here. We also want to thank our wonderful sponsors, Butt Kicker there. You see them on the screen here. And folks that are familiar with iRacing know all the wonderful things that Butt Kicker is involved with. They are across so many iRacing leagues. Jacob doing wonderful things for all of these drivers and folks of iRacing. But 3 cautions into this race, creeping up towards that stage break as well, Jacob. We're going to be looking at around 12 or 13 laps to go in the stage with a fresh set of Goodyear Eagles. What do you expect to close out this run?
I believe Cofield maybe want to watch his rear view mirror the best that he possibly can, because some of these guys right here might have just been trying to save and do some kind of strategy to save their tires. Maybe even some of them trying to save a little bit of gas the best that they possibly can. We talked about the fuel mileage or the fuel races that we've had here at Pocono Raceway in the past. So some of these guys might have looked like they might have just been saving a little bit. One guy that I didn't see saving was David Farmer. He was fixing to come up there and take the lead away from Jonathan Cofield. So these guys right here, they're going to be pushing the limits right here. They know they're going to be getting a stage break here in the next 15, 16 laps. So every single one of these guys, they're going to be pushing right here to see if they can get up at the front right here for the stage.
Absolutely, Jacob, as the pace car takes us down into the corner, lights are off right now as we have a set of different leaders on the racetrack right there. Jason Bridges, Dustin Reinstedel, and Cody Anderson, Lucas Lyons, and David Farmer. You just mentioned that 84 machine will be the cars taking us to the drop of the green flag. That's the 34 machine right there. If you're watching along with us here on the Bluegrass iRacing Cup Series, again, we want to thank you for watching along with us here on this wonderful Wednesday night. Myself, William Tiller, Jacob Reeves on the call. And here we go, Jacob. Let's get this thing on and rocking once again as this pace car will take us off the corner. Try this restart for the 3rd time here tonight before the stage break, and it will be Jason Bridges taking us to the green flag as it waves, and we're rocking and rolling into corner number 1.
And Jason Bridges is going to get a very good jump right here on this restart. Right behind him, Cody Anderson did not get the jump that he was actually wanting right there. Lucas Lyons, actually one of those guys that got caught up in an earlier accident. He's all the way up here in the top 5. David Farmer was actually able to get around Cofield. Cofield looks like he's actually struggling a little bit, trying to get through some of these guys that did not pit and get those 4 fresh tires. So Cofield looks like he's struggling, trying to get around some of these guys. Adkins right behind him as well. Everybody's seeing if they can catch Jason Bridges.
David Farmer, driver of the 84 machine, racing out of Bowling Green, Kentucky right now. As Jacob mentioned, has been working hard to get inside the top 5 right now, try to advance position, try to get around the 25 machine of Lucas Lyons. Jonathan Cofield, we just talked about it as well, struggling in this traffic. A lot of traffic on the racetrack here. 22 laps in. Brent Holder in that 9, trying to get around here, racing out of Mammoth Spring, Arkansas. You talked about it, Jacob. One of those Southern boys would love to take the checkered flag here in New England.
I'm all for the Southern boys. I'm a Southern boy myself from Georgia, and real nice to see the Southern swing, I guess you could say, here in the Bluegrass Cup Series. Real nice to see that. Brandon Holder still holding his own up here in the top 10. Cofield trying to see if he can get around Lyons. This is a battle up front, trying to see if he can get around Lyons, see if he can get 4th. But believe it or not, David Farmer has cleared all of this traffic that he was trying to get through. He has set his sights on Jason Bridges. Bridges better get that thing in gear, because I'm telling you, David Farmer is coming.
Yeah, he's absolutely coming. Now has the best lap time of the entire race with a 53.52. That 84 machine looking like a red rocket on the racetrack. He has got the 34 machine in his sights. He is coming just like Darth Vader in a TIE fighter down the slender straight right now. He is a man on a mission racing out of Bowling Green, Kentucky.
I'll say this, I mean, David Farmer looks like he is one of those moonshine bootleggers trying to run from the cops from that Bowling Green, Kentucky. He is coming right now, trying to close in on Jason Bridges. These two guys have actually pulled away from Rhinestale and Cofield right now, so it's a two-car breakaway. Second back from the leaders is where Dustin Rhinestale and Jonathan Cofield is. David Farmer, better watch him right here. He's going to see if he can get the draft right here. Bridges is going to slide down, see if he can break that draft, but I'm telling you, Farmer got enough of a draft right here. He may be able to do something with him right here in turn one.
You see it right there. For Jason Bridges to hold this lead, he's going to have to try to break the draft coming off the 84 machine, but that's an immovable object right now as the 84 just keeps trying to poke his nose in spots to get around Jason Bridges into the corner.
And Farmer right here in turn two, we talked about this. This corner is very, very tight. Farmer actually lifts a little bit. Bridges is going to slide around a little bit. Here comes David Farmer to the inside. Bridges will have nothing to be able to say about that. David Farmer in an 84 car taking it for Bowling Green, Kentucky, all the way to the front here at Pocono.
Yeah, and I love that move out of the 84. He just put that nose just to the inside of Jason Bridges in that corner. We saw it briefly here on that shot. Just to let Jason know in that 34 machine that I'm here. You can come down if you want to, but I'm on this inside lane as we have a new race leader. As Jacob just mentioned, the 84 machine leading the way. Gonna look down the grid just a little bit. Mike Kostick right there. We have a big mover already on the move as well. Dustin Rhinestale in that 11 machine up 14 spots, Jacob.
Dustin Rhinestale, like you said, started 18th up to 4th. Try and see if he could hold off Cofield. Not going to be able to do it, but a real good run right here from Rhinestale. You better watch it right here. Schwartz is on his inside. Kostek's already got around him. Here comes Lucas Lyons. He's going to dive it in right here. Rhinestale looks like he's actually starting to drop back just a little bit.
Now single file across the start-finish line. That is the 8 machine of Mike Kostek. He's been inside the top 5 all race long. Jonathan Cofield, though, he's trying to get back up the grid as well. He is in this mix of drivers through the corner right now. David Farmer still leading the way. Also, Jason Bridges still holding it down up there as well as we're creeping up to about 11 laps to go here in the stage.
And Cofield trying to see if he can get something on Bridges right here. Maybe learn a little bit from what Farmer did, lift a little bit early, and then get that drive off of the corner. That's exactly what Cofield does right here off of turn 2. Not able to get that much of a run right here on Bridges, but he will move down to the inside. Not the best run like David Farmer did, but he's able to get his nose in there. Goes side by side with Bridges. Ooh. Cofield's actually slid just a little bit, almost got into his door. Good racing right here. Real hard racing for that second spot coming up right here with almost 6-7 laps to go right here in this stage.
Yeah, Cofield said he has spent enough time out of the penthouse position. He is trying to get that away from David Farmer as we're out of the corner. The 84 machine looking good as he passes the camera here on the Bluegrass iRacing Cup Series. That battle for second is still going back and forth. You see it right here on this shot, Jacob, that separation. And again, we have our caution flag is out here at Pocono.
Looked like that was Barrett Morton got caught up in that one. The 6 car looks like a 31 machine of Jonah Colbert. Looked like they was 3 wide right here with Radburn shutters right here, 3 wide, and just melee just happened right there off of turn number 1. Looked like it was the one that was in the middle. No, excuse me, it was Barrett. Barrett just came straight across the 31's nose. And just absolutely nowhere for Radburn to go. We've seen this already in this race. Some of these guys in turn 1 trying to get back into the gas the best that they can. But they get into that gas just a little bit too much. The car will not turn. And we talked about this track is wide, but it's not that wide. Very, very unfortunate to see those 3 guys. And some of these other guys just going to come piling in right here at the end.
Yeah, riding in that danger zone lane, as I like to say, Jacob, because nothing ever good happens in that danger zone lane. That middle lane will chew you up and spit you out. And that was our Cofield replay right there. You're gonna check out once again, Jake. Oh my goodness gracious! Do you see that shot out of Miller? That's Bill Miller racing out of Iowa on that 47 machine. Maybe a little right fender damage, but not much. Just escaped everything there, Jacob.
Yeah, and as hard as he hit the wall, hopefully he's not got any toe link damage on that right front. But I'll be honest with you, from where he was at when all of that happened, I mean, he came out of it better than what he could have, because we just sat here and watched that. You could obviously see it when he was in the car. He couldn't see nothing. All he saw was white smoke. He basically done an advanced move, go all the way down to the bottom, and he just lost it trying to come back up because he had another guy that was sliding down to the bottom. I mean, that was like a Talladega Nights or Days of Thunder, I guess you could say right there. So, I mean, it could have been a lot worse right there for Bill Miller. Hopefully he does not have any toe link damage.
We'll see right now, David Farmer still our race leader. And Jacob, what are some of the things that have been standing out about basically the Red Rocket here tonight? We've seen him advance through the field, now at the top of the grid. What's standing out to you from this driver out of Bowling Green, Kentucky?
Well, he's taking what the field is giving him. He's taking what the drivers are giving him. He's taking what the race is giving him. He's racing this race. He's racing his race. You don't see that a lot out of a lot of drivers. A lot of guys just want to try to dart it to the front, try to get their self in position, make moves, and try to make their car get where they want it to go, not let the race come to them. And that's what I'm seeing David Farmer do right here. Just let the race come to him, let everybody else make their moves, and then he's just going to capitalize on what he can. And that's what I've been seeing him do. I mean, he made a great pass with Bridges right there in turn 2. Lifted early, Bridges drove it in, tried to keep it out of the fence, and Farmer knew exactly what to do. Didn't follow him in, didn't do anything crazy, just lifted a little bit early, and then just drove straight out of the corner, just like that he's been doing the whole race long. So he is racing his race, and right now, if he keeps it up right now, and I think he will, if he keeps it up, this is his race right here.
Absolutely, indeed, as he is our race leader in that 84 machine. We still see the yellow lights of the pace car on. We'll see them come around here. Just a few races into this Bluegrass iRacing Cup Series, and Jacob, I gotta say, I do love these Cup cars. I think there's a little bit more a freedom to them, if I have to put it just a light way. I think it has the freedom of an Indy car, an open wheel car, but the heaviness and the power of a stock car, if that makes sense, to where the aerodynamics plays a lot more in the role of a driver on a race-to-race basis.
That is exactly right, Will. And you talked about the combination, I guess you could say, of Indy car to stock car. And one of these things about these stock cars that we haven't yet to mention with these next-gen cars is the steering pinion. Most of these guys that if they race Xfinity or trucks or street stocks or even, tour mods or SK modifieds, you have a steering ratio that's in those cars. These guys has actually got a steering pinion, and basically what that is the gearbox is actually tighter than it would be on an Xfinity car or a truck, like I said. So these guys have got a completely different steering complex that they've got to deal with, and I think that actually had a lot to do with why Bill Miller went down to the bottom and tried to dart it back up. The steering box is just so tight, it's so small, that I think that's what made him lose it when he was trying to mess that one car on the inside. I think that had a lot to do with it. But I, for one, I'll be honest with you, I started out racing in these cars. I hated them. Absolutely hated these cars because they just wasn't the same. They wasn't the H pattern that we talked about. The steering pinion, they got no track bars on these cars. So I started out to hate them, but the more that I've drove them, these are actually some of the best and funnest cars on iRacing, and these guys are showing what these cars are capable of here tonight.
Well, I talk about one driver who is having a lot of fun here tonight. That is our race leader, David Farmer, in the 84. He'll be next to our pole sitter, Jonathan Cofield, as the green flag waves once again here at the Tricky Triangle, and it's David Farmer taking us down to corner number 1.
And Cofield has got to be sitting there watching Farmer going, wow, that was me the first 2 restarts. Getting that huge jump that David Farmer was able to get right there. Cofield going to slide back into second. Side-by-side battle for third with Kostek and Schwartz. Looks like James Silvers. We haven't talked about him a lot. He's trying to make something happen right behind these guys, but he better watch it right now because Jonathan Adkins is trying to see if he can break into this top 5. See if he can get something going. Silvers actually gets a little bit loose. Adkins to the top. Oh, wow, Kostek better keep it straight because Adkins was all up his back bumper. All of these guys trying to see if they can have something to say right here for David Farmer in these closing laps of this stage.
And you see right there, Holder is up a lot of spots as well, up 21 spots from the drop of the green flag. Right there, the 9 machine trying to get around 2 Hungry Dogs, as well as GT Hawkins, our points leader in these mix of cars. These are cars that are inside the top 10. Go Robinson, one of those drivers as well. GT Hawkins, though, our points leader, that 14, making moves here in stage number 1. He is up 6 spots from the drop of the green flag.
And, well, we talked about this, that there is a reason why he is the points leader, and he is showing it right here in the closing laps of this stage. GT Hawkins trying to get up there and get him in the top 5, see if he can get around Jonathan Adkins. He better watch his back bumper. James Silvers right behind him. James Silvers has been pushing it really, really hard, making it tough on GT Hawkins, seeing if he can be able to close up there and see if he can get in the middle of this. But from what I'm seeing, it is a dead-on battle for third. Schwartz up top. Kostek seeing if he can take it down low. Adkins running right behind him. Kostek sends it into turn number 1. We'll see if he's able to clear Schwartz and pull the slide job on him. No, he will not. Here comes Adkins. Adkins might take it 3 wide.
Yeah, Kostek right there in the A machine's going to find himself all by himself on that inside lane. As right now we have a battle for the lead, though, as Jonathan Cofield is going to go side by side with David Farmer into the corner. They're side by side, door to door, still a drag race. We have a drag race for second as well. No, that'll file out to right now into the corner now. Jonathan Cofield under fire for a second. That's Jonathan Schwartz who's trying to make a push for the lead, Jacob, as we're off the corner.
Schwartz saying if he can get the run off the top, he will make that happen and clear Cofield. Now he sets his sights on David Farmer. Cofield is actually sliding back a punch right here. Looks like that whole move that he tried to pull right there was not able to make it work. Cofield going to go all the way back to 5th. Going to slide right into the clutches of GT Hawkins, seeing if he can try to get up here and get something going. Hawkins, we talked about him, the points leader, trying to get up in the top 5, started 12th, making a huge run as he's going to go by our pole sitter, and Cofield is starting to slide back, maybe get a little bit of a run right here off turn 2. Well, it gets real tight off turn 2. Everybody trying to see if they can get something going as we're fixing to come to the last lap in this stage.
Yeah, coming to 1 to go here in this stage. Of course, folks at home, if you join our broadcast late after the leader crosses the line at lap 36, that yellow flag will fly. As right now, David Farmer still our race leader in an 84 machine. He has a lot of hungry dogs behind him, though. He has Jonathan Atkins, Jonathan Schwartz, Mike Kostek, and GT Hawkins, our points leader, all trying to snatch that lead as we're off the corner.
And Cofield actually got into GT Hawkins just a little bit in turn 3, was able to keep it straight. Hawkins almost hits the wall. Cofield may get one more shot at him. All of this going on with David Farmer leading Adkins right up his back bumper. Then you got Schwartz right behind him. Kostek back there watching all of this play out. And Hawkins better watch it right here in turn number 3 as Cofield thought he was going to get the run. No, he will not. Adkins tries to go up top. Schwartz goes down to the bottom. Drag race to the line, but it looks like David Farmer is going to win stage 1 here at Pocono Raceway.
Yeah, the Red Rocket himself, David Farmer, in that 84 machine, worked his way up through the grid, up 8 spots from the drop of the green flag. Gets the first stage victory. Second place position, though, will belong to Jonathan Atkins. Third in that stage will be Jonathan Swartz. Fourth, and we saw this man making moves. Watch out in these late stages of the race for Mike Kostek in that 8. Fifth position is going to be GT Hawkins in that 14, also a man on a mission. Jonathan Cofield, our pole sitter, is going to slip just a little bit, finish 6th in that stage. James Silver 7th. Michaela Robinson 8th. Brandon Holder up 20 spots from the drop of the green flag will finish 9th. And rounding out our top 10 there in the stage is Jeff Foyt in that 90 machine.
That was a great race right there to watch all the way to the end. You had battling all over the track. A lot of great racing up in the top 10. Hawkins there for a little bit. I'm telling you, well, I saw him right there off of turn number 3. Cofield actually got in to GT Hawkins into his door a little bit. Obviously, it was nothing intentional, just good, hard racing, but Cofield could have gassed it up and put Hawkins straight into the wall coming off of turn number 3, but he did not. Raced him with a lot of respect for a bunch of these guys up here in this top 10, but we talked about this, and I talked about it. You better watch out for this 84 of David Farmer. Literally showed them how to do it. Cofield actually had the first part of that stage. Looked like he had it under wraps, but then once he got back here in this dirty air, he was just fighting just to try to see if he could just hold his position. Luckily, he comes out with it here in 6th.
As the drivers take a breather, they're going to get these tires warmed up to kick off the late stages of the race. We'll take a breather here on the Bluegrass High Racing Cup Series. We'll be right back for the conclusion of the race here in the Tricky Triangle. Welcome back, everybody, to the Tricky Triangle here in the Bluegrass High Racing Cup Series. I am William Tiller here. I've been joined by Jacob Reeves. And Jacob, we just saw a break in the action, a stage break, if you will. We had a few breaks along the way leading up to that point, about 4 caution flags leading up to that. But we were just speaking in that break of the impressive driving skill of David Farmer in that 84, up 8 spots from the drop of the green flag, made quick work of the field, and once he got up there, Jacob, he held it down.
Yeah, he looked like he was on rails, literally, David Farmer in the 84 car. I said in the break as well, I mean, if he does not mess up, he looks like he's got the car to definitely win this race. Another guy that we was talking about, up almost 20 spots in the 9 car, that's Brandon Holder. And believe it or not, just so y'all guys know, I called this guy right here to be one of the players at the stage break. I said that he was going to be in a good spot right at the stage, but guess what? He was in the top 10, starting all the way back in the 29th position. Real good drive right there for Brandon Holder and David Farmer. And matter of fact, every single one of them that's up here in the top 10. A lot of good, hard, clean racing. A lot of respect, as I said, that was given from a bunch of these guys. But we'll see what happens when we get to these later portions in this race. We'll see if that respect stays there, because these guys know they win, they're in the playoffs.
Absolutely, and we were just impressed by the way these drivers have been able to handle these next-gen race cars here tonight. Only 3 races into the season in the Bluegrass iRacing Cup Series presented by Butt Kicker. We want to thank everybody for tuning in here tonight. I just saw some fans in the chat as well. We want to say hi to Sarah Mays, also Stephen McMillan watching along with us here on YouTube. They've been tuning in to one heck of a race so far. We got a second half just about to begin right now as Jacob was breaking down all those storylines. We're ready to get this thing rocking and rolling once again here as the field's going to come around these last couple of corners. Jacob, what do you expect in the second half of this race?
Well, I mean, I expect a lot of, basically from what you've seen in that first stage, you're going to probably see most of that happen again. It's just going to be a longer stage with more racing and a lot more action, I believe, later on. But right here, you want to keep an eye on this right here. Reinstedel, he's actually up front. Tony Iverson, he got caught up in a wreck earlier. He's sitting second. Raphael Hubie, he was one of them that actually parked it on the front stretch all the way up in third. Sean Kaiser, we haven't talked about him at all. Any part in this race, started this race 31st all the way up to 4th. All of that going on right behind him is the guy that has literally dominated this race, David Farmer. You're fixing to see a great race right here to the finish, guys.
Man, talking about a great race. Well, let's get this thing rocking and rolling once again as Dustin Reinstedel will take us down to corner number 1 as things are getting crazy, though. We have a lot of shaking and moving down to corner number 1. Things are calming down, though, Jacob, as the field now goes into one way, almost avoided disaster.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, that all started with GT Hawkins. Might have missed a shift just a little bit, just missed it by just a little. Might have stacked this whole field up. Hawkins trying to keep it going. That's Cofield that got loose right in front of Hawkins. Whoa. One of the pole sitters. We got a bunch of guys spinning right here on the backstretch. No caution yet. Now we got a big one in turn number 2. Bunch of these guys up front. Schwartz is in it. Kostik's in it. Adkins is in it. Hawkins is in it. Damn near the whole field, Will, has got caught up right here in turn number 2.
Wow, we'll have to jump up there to see what happened as we're taking a look at the 25 machine as we check out this Cofield supply and service caution flag instant replay. You started to see things unraveling on the restart there, Jacob, and it never stuck together there. We just had the speed wobbles all the way into 1 and 2. Off of 2, things were just getting even more dicey. And as we were checking out what was happening down the backstretch, you caught an even bigger pile up into the corner.
Yeah, and that was between Jonathan Adkins and John Schwartz, the two Jonathans, getting caught up right here, going into turn number 2. Looked like Schwartz and Adkins. Adkins tried to do a little bit of a side draft, tried to pull Schwartz back, and then all of a sudden, it just hooked Schwartz, and Adkins went straight into the fence, got cleaned out by Kostik. Here comes the points leader. The 14 of Hawkins just gets piled up in it. Wow, bunch of big players right here, right after this stage break, getting caught up in this wreck. One guy that did not get caught up in this was David Farmer. He actually got away from this. I'm not sure if Cofield was able to get through it or not, though.
Yeah, looking at some of the names, they may or may not have been involved in this wreck. We look at some guys that are down pit road, though. GT Hawkins, Matt Greiner, Ryan Smith, Jonathan Atkins, Mike Kostek, Wes Wygan as well there, Jacob. As you mentioned, a lot of big names. A few of those drivers have been inside the top 5 all race long to see your race essentially end just at the drop of the green flag for this second half of the race. But once again, that was a Cofield supply and service caution flag instant replay, and what a caution flag it was once again. And I'm kind of surprised here tonight, Jacob. We don't normally see these amount of caution flags at a racetrack like Pocono.
No, you really don't. I mean, you see a lot of green flag runs, but I mean, we talked about it. As high speed as this place is, and as wide as this place is, it is a Talladega style racing. We've seen a lot of snaking, a lot of drafting, drivers trying to suck up and trying to get the draft the best that they can. So you do see a lot of that racing. But going back to Cofield, I was just sitting there watching what happened to him on the replay. He almost got caught up in this. He barely snuck through this. Swartz went all the way down the bottom, was sliding straight back up, and if Cofield would have been maybe a split second back from where he was at, he would have got caught up in this. So Cofield actually getting loose off of turn number 1, getting into the fence. That actually might have saved his race. Granted, he might have got a little bit of damage on the right side, but he's not going to be in the garage with Hawkins and Kostick and Swartz and Adkins, all those other guys that got caught up in this. So Cofield better be thanking his lucky stars that he's still in this bad boy.
Yeah, and Cofield, just a man that has faced a lot of adversity in tonight's race, started on that pole position, drifted back just a little bit, had to fight through some traffic as well. You saw him in one of those restarts, got buried in that restart, Jacob. So if we see Jonathan Cofield in victory lane here tonight, he'll definitely have got it done the hard way. One of those cars he'll have to get by if he wants to do that, though, Jacob, is that red machine of David Farmer. That 84 has just found his way here tonight, and again, will restart this race on the front row.
And it is 100% well earned for David Farmer to be up there. And that right there, honestly, David Farmer may or may not have been sitting there seeing all of that happen in his rearview mirror and taking out a bunch of the big players that we've seen in this race. Adkins, Swartz, GT Hawkins, all of those guys, taking them guys out. It might have been a sigh of relief. Obviously, Farmer don't want to see anybody get caught up in any accidents. He wants everybody to have a good, clean race to the end. But it's a sigh of relief knowing that he's not got to deal with them later on in this race. So that might have just made his job just that much easier. But one guy that he better be watching out for, I said it before the race and I keep saying it, this 9 car of Brandon Holder's up in the 5th position. I'm telling you, he's going to have something to say right here with David Farmer when these laps close down.
Like Baja Men once said, who let the dogs out? And we got some dogs here tonight, some drivers that refuse to quit, that refuse to relinquish that top 5 position. As right now the pace car will take us into the last set of corners. We still have some cars coming off a pit road right now. It looks like Michaela Robinson in that 45 machine. It looks like here, Jacob, we're thinking about going green as we're going to go down the slanted straight here. Yes, the pace lights are off of that beautiful pace car. And Jacob here, I'll let you do the restart as my restarts have led to caution flags here tonight.
Well, hopefully I'll be able to help out with that just a little bit. And we'll see what happens right here. I mean, Raphael Hubie's going to be on the front row with Farmer to his outside. We talked about Tony Iverson, one of those guys that got caught up in one of those earlier accidents, all the way up there in the 3rd spot with Sean Kaiser in 4th, Brandon Holder in 5th. But we're going to get a green flag right here, and they're on the gas. Hubie gets a nice jump right here. We've seen that a lot out of some of these leaders getting a great jump on these restarts. David Farmer is able to get away from Iverson and Kaiser right here on this restart, but Farmer's going to give it all he's got as they are beating and banging behind him. Iverson keeping it on the bottom, Kaiser up top. Looks like Silvers and Holder, all of them trying to get around these guys as Farmer looks like he's going to take a shot at Hubie for the lead in 2.
Yeah, battle for the lead into 2 right now as David Farmer is wasting no time to try to get back into the lead. He does it. A little bit of a crossover move right there off of the corner right there as Hubie's not going to try to relinquish that position as we jump back just a few spots. This is a battle brew right now, Jacob, as we're off of the corner. This is a battle for 4th that still rages on.
And it's going to be for 3rd now as Holder is going to get the run right here on Sean Kaiser. Move Holder to the inside right here. Farmer trying to break the draft on Hubie. Holder going to go all the way down to the bottom. Kaiser stayed out on that previous caution. Tried to get a little bit of extra track position, but Holder will have none of it. Holder making his presence felt, making this campaign from 29th to the front. He is trying to make it work. He's got 2 more cars he's got to get through. That's Hubie and our leader, David Farmer.
Yeah, Raphael Hubie still hanging on to the old equipment right now as he thinks to the inside. And David Farmer here makes just the tiniest tap on that back bumper. He's going to stay to the inside. The 21's going to have a huge run into the corner. That's going to open the door, though, for that man. Mama, here comes that man again. Brandon Holder in the 9 machine up 26 spots from the drop of the green flag. Finds himself right behind David Farmer. He'll latch himself behind the red rocket and go by Raphael Hubie for a second.
And I talked about it on that restart. Farmer needs to be worried about this 9 car. He has showed speed in practice. Didn't show it in qualifying because he just said, you know what, screw it. I want to start from the back and drive through every single car in this field. And he is making it work right now. Farmer leading, Holder right behind him, literally right behind him, up his back bumpers that go into turn number 2. Holder may see if he can make a run right here. Farmer gets loose, comes down and blocks Holder, and that was all that he could do to not try to wreck the car. But Holder gave him a lot of respect right there. Did not turn David Farmer for the lead, but it may be a side-by-side battle. If Holder can get a little bit of a draft off Farmer, they may be side-by-side for the lead in turn 1.
Yeah, sometimes that bucking Bronco just gets a little way, or just a little bit away from you there, Jacob. We saw it now as we're down into the corner. Brandon Holder just to kill just a little bit of that momentum. He's still on the back bumper. Though he's going to ride on board with that 9 machine. He's going to see that draft coming off of the corner here. Huge run here down the slanted straight. You'll see if he makes a move down the corner. Jacob, I think this is about what we're going to see the rest of the night.
Yeah, between these two guys right here, David Farmer, Brandon Holder, the guy that has pretty much, like I said, waxed the field in stage 1, and the guy from where did he come from? Here he comes, going to see if he can get a little side draft. Gets a nose in there. David Farmer up top, Brandon Holder down on the bottom. See if Holder's going to be able to make it stick. Farmer's going to see if he can get the run off of the top. Drag race down the front stretch. Give that lap to Farmer at the line by 4/100ths of a second. Holder really tight on Farmer's door. See if he's going to be able to make the slide job, and he stuffs it into turn number 1. Slides up in front of David Farmer. New leader from the back to the front. That's Brandon Holder, but Farmer's going to give him another shot at it.
Yeah, Farmer's still holding on to hope right there as he's actually going to have a huge run down in the corner. The 84 is going to inch that nose just in front of the 9 machine of Holder. Now, Holder has a run as the 84 has to hit the brakes in the apex of the corner. Oh, that's going to cause a huge calamity, a huge checkup. The 84 had to throw that door in front of Raphael Hubie, who tried to take that opportunity, Jacob. That's not going to be enough, though. That's just going to add more momentum to the 9 machine of Brandon Holder, our race leader, off the corner.
And Holder checks out. Hubie had to check up. That's going to open the door for James Silvers in the 17. Looks like he may have something to say about it. We haven't talked a lot about James Silvers. Started this race 4th. He is 4th. Very quietly making his presence felt in that 17 car as well. Seeing if he can keep it going, and look right behind him, who has just moved up into the top 5, just got around Kaiser. That's going to be Jonathan Cofield, the pole sitter, the one that led him to the green flag. Seeing if he can get back up to the front where he was at when we started this race. It's Holder, Farmer, Hubie, Silvers, and Jonathan Cofield, the top 5. Cofield seeing if he can get Silvers right here for 4th.
And Jacob, I think you can attest to it from a driver's point of view. You're inside the mindset of the 58 machine of Jonathan Cofield. It's a Jeff Gordon mindset. It's a Kyle Busch mindset. It's a keep the radio off unless it's something important. I'm just going to get this thing to the front. I think Jonathan Cofield has just fought through everything here tonight. He's been in the front. He's drifted back. He's got back up there again. He's drifted back again. He continuously stays in the fight here right now as he's about to go 3 wide down the slanted straight.
And he thought better of it. He's going to see if he can push Silvers. He's taking everything. He's not letting these guys play out for anything. He is taking what he can get. Silvers actually gets past Hubie. That's going to put Silvers up to 3rd. Hubie back to 4th. Cofield's going to see if he can be able to make that shot the same way that Silvers did it, and see if he can follow James Silvers. Silvers really starting to put the pressure, put the heat on right now. See if he can get something going and get up there and get a hold of Holder. But Hubie's not going to let him go. Cofield right behind all of this, watching all of this play out right here at Pocono.
As we check out the lid of Raphael Hubie there, that's a Wario helmet right there. Not a lot of people know the obscure character out of the Super Mario characters, but right now Raphael Hubie trying to make himself known. The 21 machine has been inside the top 5, racing out of Brazil here tonight. The next gen car is feeling good. That Chevy is moving and grooving inside the top 5.
Awesome looking helmet right there. Awesome looking race suit. Looked like he was actually shirtless from what we saw right there. And that is Raphael Hubie. And while that was going on, Hubie actually watched Cofield get around him. So Cofield going to see if he can make it back up to the front. Get back up and get going with it. Farmer driving his tail off, seeing if he can get the holder. Almost got in the fence right there off of turn number 3. May be able to give Silvers a little bit of momentum, see if he can get up there and challenge David Farmer. But Farmer really, honestly, Will, has had nobody challenge him until right now. And that's Brandon Holder. Holder challenging David Farmer and showing that he can hold it up at the front. Those fast laps that Holder was putting in practice, they are paying off right here.
And as we watch this battle rage on here, Jacob, I'm looking at my notes here. I think we're creeping up on some more green flag pit stops, if I'm not mistaken, here before this race is over. So we might watch these drivers try to jockey for position. I'm starting to see it a little bit as these lap times are getting a little bit slower around the tricky triangle. Jacob, 52 laps into this race here tonight. As we watch, the drivers have also gone single file, so that might be an indication to me that these drivers are starting to settle down, trying to strategize just a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, a long race still left to go, just past halfway. Farmer actually looks like he does not want to run single file. Giving Holder all he's got. He's going to get a run right here off of turn number 1. Thought he may actually do a little bit of the bump draft, but no, he will not. He will take it down to the inside. Battle for the lead. Holder actually lets him go going into turn number 2. Maybe tried to see if he could get a slider on Farmer a little bit right there, but he did not. 4 cars all bumper to bumper right here. Farmer leading, Holder in second, James Silvers in third, and Jonathan Cofield, once again the pole sitter, the guy that led him to the green flag. 4-car breakaway right here at the front of the field.
Yeah, in the words of Conor McGregor, who is that guy? James Silvers has not been a name that we've called out at all here tonight. He is quietly, he started inside the top 5, the top 10 there. The 17 machine actually started right inside the podium position. Now, let's get out. He's door to door with the 84 machine of David Farmer. This is heating up down the front backstretch.
And I'm telling you, Silvers may have had him look like he pushed up into Farmer. We've seen that happen a bunch of times right there off of turn number 1. That right there was basically the same thing that we've seen. Maybe the tires are really starting to wear on these guys, Will. These guys are trying to put their cars in positions that they're not comfortable doing, but they're trying to get the positions that they can, thinking that they're on freshies, and they're not. All the pressure heating up at the front of the field. Farmer still leads. Holder has actually bypassed Silvers after he had that contact with Farmer. Now Holder all the way back up on the back bumper of Farmer. See if he can play the Intimidator, that black car with that white number, making it look like a Dale Earnhardt kind of deal. See if he can intimidate Farmer just a little bit here at the front of the field.
Yeah, as you watch behind those two leaders, Coldfield's trying to get around Silvers here, and I meant no offense at the 17 machine, but the last time we saw a driver sneak up on us here on the broadcast, Jacob, that was the 84 David Farmer. We didn't see him coming. We've seen the type of run he's had here as of late, as right now he is actually under fire from Brandon Holder, who is up 28 spots from the drop of the green flag. That's right, folks, that's not a car number. That's the amount of spots he's gained right now. He is up one more spot, as now they are drag racing here at the tricky triangle. John Force would be proud as they're drag racing down in corner number 1.
For a second, it was 2 by 2 going across the stripes. Silvers and Cofield was side by side. Farmer's still stuck up in the top lane. We're actually coming up on a lap car coming up on them right here as they're going down the back stretch. Couple of lap cars as well. Holder's going to fall in line, see if they can get past some of this lap traffic. Back and forth between Holder and Farmer, just swapping the lead. I mean, this is basically a 2-horse race, but I'll say this. Jonathan Cofield, when he got around James Silvers, he is now seeing if he tried to use the lap car as a pick to try to get around Holder, but it did not happen, as all 4 of these guys still trying to break away from the pack. One guy that's actually closed up, that's the 97. We haven't talked about him all race long. Alex Healy, all the way up here battling with these guys up front.
And I think right now, as we creep towards those green flag pit stops on lap 57 here in the Bluegrass iRacing Cup Series presented by Butt Kicker, as now we're starting to see some of those dominoes fall. And Jacob, I wanted to ask you, before we see those waves of pit stops I like to talk about, we have, first wave, second wave, third wave of pit stops. What would be your strategy here? If you've seen the speed of Jonathan Cofield, you've seen the speed of David Farmer, would you try to undercut the field here if you're one of these drivers?
Yeah, but you don't want to undercut them too early. You don't want to be out there on way older tires than the leaders will be. I mean, obviously, you're going to gain some ground on them as well. Cofield's had the speed to be able to hang with these guys up front, but those tires will come into play later on in this race. So if you're going to undercut them, I'd undercut them. I mean, and it's hard to say. It's hard to say when they're going to pit. You don't know what they're going to do. But if you can undercut them maybe about a lap before that they do, then that might be your shot to be able to have a little bit fresher tires on that short run, but it's going to hurt you on the long run. So I think you might want to undercut them, but it is possible that you can run a lap longer and you'll have that lap more fresher tires.
Yeah, it looks like we did have a taker down pit road their last time by. That was James Silvers in that 17 machine headed down. Raphael Hubie also headed down pit road a few laps ago. Sean Kaiser also headed down. Dustin Reinstedel, Barrett Morton as well, and that would be our last car on the lead lap. Cody Anderson is now the last car on the lead lap, with Tony Iverson there down a lap on the grid. Right now we're going to have what's called that Yahtzee reshuffle of the grid, Jacob, and what I mean by that is these drivers will head down pit road. You see leaders interchange. You'll see some guys trying to push that envelope, try to stay out as long as they can. Maybe they haven't had the best race so far, but they can put some laps led in that iRacing stat column. Right on board with the 58 machine of Jonathan Cofield, our pole sitter here tonight, racing out of Munford, Alabama. It's Cofield Asphalt refinishing Chevrolet right now. Has had to do it the hard way, Jacob, but I feel like if he can get back in that clean air, he can lead the way.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think he may have a shot. We thought he might have been in a little bit of trouble as he started to slide back. Looks like Farmer's actually going to go down and pit. He saw Holder that last lap. Holder was actually the one that undercut these guys. He went down pit road. Now Farmer saw that. Farmer is going to go down pit road. This is going to leave Jonathan Cofield, the guy that started up front, back at the front. Familiar territory for Jonathan Cofield. I would not be surprised one bit right here, Will. If I was him, I would be pitting this next time by. Don't stay out there too long, because if you do, these leaders are going to be able to get away from you on those fresher tires.
As we're watching these green flag pit stops take place at 26 laps to go, my name is William Tiller. I've been joined by Jacob Reeves here tonight. Adam Flieger has been the man providing all the sights and sounds of the Tricky Triangle here tonight. This is the Bluegrass iRacing Cup Series presented by Butt Kicker. We have 26 laps to go here tonight. We're watching these green flag pit stops basically shape out the end of this race. Still waiting for some of the big dogs, if you will, to head down. And once it does shake out, Jacob, I believe we're in for one heck of a finish.
Yeah, we're going to be in line for a great finish. Some of these guys that we have not actually got to call out. Justin Winters started this race 17th all the way up to 4th. We talked about Jason Bridges. He was up front battling right there at the end of that stage all the way up in 3rd. Some of these guys trying to run it just a little bit long, see if we can somehow or another get another caution. That would completely flip this field. A bunch of these guys that pitted now, and then they're going to have to make their decision on whether or not they're going to go back in.
as it looks like our leader is now down pit road. The 58 machine of Jonathan Cofield is down pit road, as well as Drew Prohl in that 80 machine. That looks like our new race leader on the track will be the 34 machine of Jason Bridges, racing that Ford. It looks like the only Ford on the grid all the way down until you see Chuck Blake all the way down on that grid there, Jacob, and giving some love to the Fords here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I owned a Ford in the past, and I still got a little bit of love for the Fords. I'm a Chevy guy right now, but you got to give love to the Fords, and you got to give love to Jason Bridges for staying out this long right here, trying to see if somehow or another we can get a caution that will come out. Cofield actually stayed out a little bit longer than I thought he would actually do, but here he comes out right now out of the pits. James Silver is actually going to go by him. David Farmer already went by him as well. So we're going to see right here if this sucker goes green right here. We're going to see if him staying out that long and getting them extra laps and going to have that fresher tires. We're going to see if that's going to be able to play into his favor and see if he's going to have something for David Farmer. As it looks like, Brandon Holder was actually able to get by him as well, or he's fixing to get by him as well right now. They're both battling, but right now, I'm telling you, we're going to see some serious strategy right here come to the end of this thing. And to be honest with you, it's going to be really close on gas where they're going to be at. So we may see some guys try to stretch it the best that they possibly can right here.
Absolutely, 23 laps to go. Looks like that grid is starting to shake out as Raphael Hubie now takes control of what has been an excellent race so far. Very fast race with lap times in the 53.6, 53.52 is the fastest lap time of the race. And that's by one of the fastest drivers of the entire race, David Farmer in that 84. Right now having to work through some traffic to get to Raphael Hubie. About a second separates first and second on the racetrack.
And we're still waiting on Jason Bridges to make that pit stop. Still waiting on Justin Winters to make that pit stop. Daniel Cunningham, we have not talked about him all race long. Started 10th, now running 3rd. A bunch of these guys are actually Daniel Cunningham. Still waiting on some of these guys to make those pit stops that they need to do. As a matter of fact, they just did. So Raphael Hubie is now the leader of this race. David Farmer right behind him. What you see on the screen, this is the battle for the lead, as Farmer would dispose of Hubie just like that. Maybe not. Yes, he will. Hubie will give it to him. So David Farmer, once again, familiar territory, one of the fastest guys and one of the most dominant guys all race long, back up front. But, Will, I talked about this just a second ago. It's going to be really tight on fuel. Some of these guys may have to make an extra pit stop to be able to make it on fuel.
Yeah, and just like me with some pancakes at IHOP, David Farmer made quick work of Raphael Hubie getting around to the top spot as we watch some more positions shake out right now. We watch James Silvers currently in 3rd, Brandon Holder in that 4th position. You just touched on it, Jacob, and we see Jonathan Cofield. He's still lingering down the top 5 with 21 laps to go.
And he's got fresher tires than a bunch of these guys do right here in front of him. And he's also got more gas in his car than any of these other guys that's in front of him. We're right here, like I said, 21 laps to go. These guys had 50% fuel, if I'm not mistaken, when they started this race. So basically whatever they would make on a normal fuel run, you're basically cutting it in half for this particular race for these guys in this series. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, you may see some guys stretch it. Cofield would be the odds-on favorite if you went by the fuel and the tires. But, I mean, we've seen crazier things happen, Will. Me and you've called a lot of races, and we've seen a lot of crazier things that have happened in any racing that we've watched. So, anything is still possible, but right now, if you're a betting man and you had David Farmer in your pool, it's looking pretty good for you right now. I know we talked about the Jonathans. Well, 2 of them's already out. Right now, we only got 1 right now that's running in the top 5. So if you had Farmer, you're looking like you're probably going to win your pool.
Yeah, for David Farmer, the 84 machine, he's loving what he sees out of that rear view. He's watching James Silvers. He's watching Brandon Holder. He's watching Jonathan Cofield. actually just ran the fastest lap of the race. You just touched on it. Ran a 53.50, puts Jonathan Cofield as now the fastest driver on the racetrack.
And the last lap that he just ran, he ran a 53.5. Now he ran a 53.8. Still faster than David Farmer, who ran a 53.9. James Silvers actually ran a 53.7, so he's faster than both of those guys. Cofield actually got around Brandon Holder, so Holder's actually going to go back to fourth. Cofield up to third. Holder's actually starting to slip back just a little bit. The only one out of those four guys that ran a 54-second lap time, so Holder may be sliding back just a little bit. But Cofield's seeing if he's got something left for these guys. We talked about it. He's got the fresher tires out of these other guys that's in front of him, so he may have something for these guys just off of the strategy. But if he's going to get it going, he better get it going because we're under 20 laps to go.
Under 20 laps to go right now. The gap is dwindling down each second right now as we're into the corner. And if we could ride on board, maybe listen into these battles, listen into these drivers as they take on the tricky triangle. We'll stay quiet up here in the booth. We'll treat you to the sights and sounds of Pocono. As we come on board here with James Silvers, the driver of the 17 Machine Racing out of Waynesville, North Carolina. He is right on the back bumper of David Farmer, the 84. And there he goes to the inside. James Silvers says, North Carolina, take your shirt off, spin it around your head like a helicopter. He is trying to make it known here tonight. As no, David Farmer's going to close the door out of the corner right now. But you see Jacob James is hungry for that top spot.
And he closed the door on Cofield big time right there coming off of turn number one. You got the Kentucky boy leading the North Carolina guy. Southern battle right here for the Bluegrass iRacing Cup Series here at Pocono. I love seeing this right here, especially out of two Southern guys going at it as hard as they possibly can. Silvers really wants this top spot the best that he can. Silvers is actually going to go down that pit road and actually short pit right here, make sure that he's got enough of gas to make it to the end. Well, we talked about this right here, that fuel will play into this race. And right now it's James Silvers going to be one of the first guys up front going in, getting those four fresh tires and getting that sucker filled up. See if he's got something for him right here at the end.
And you're starting to see drivers short pit right here with 15 laps to go. And I think you touched on it, Jacob, not too long ago. The driver that is in the best position with all these drivers running out of fuel is the driver who has just refused to quit here tonight. That is Jonathan Cofield in that 58 machine. He has about 3 laps on the rest of the field on that fuel tank right now with 15 laps to go, though. He has to get around the 84. David Farmer and Brandon Holder right there in the 9. He is going to refuse to quit here as we're around the corner. Things very tame on the racetrack right here in this stage of the race. Jacob, it could be that these drivers are strategizing.
Yeah, they're doing basically whatever strategy that they possibly can right there. David Farmer, he goes down in the pits as well. Not surprising to see both of these guys, James Silvers, David Farmer, both of them go down pit road. Brandon Holder actually went down as well. So nothing crazy right there to see that. Obviously, Cofield's going to run a couple of extra laps. We already talked about it with him having the fresher tires. You've seen how much of a run that he was able to get up and get past Holder and Farmer, and also with James Silvers as well. So not surprising to see Cofield stay out right here. Now, what does he do? Is he going to run a little bit long? Is he going to run long like he did last time and see if he's got something? No, he will not. He will go down pit road and he will get loose. Hits the brake, slides it into the pits, barely makes it in. And if he got in and he was not speeding, that was an awesome move. Maybe a race-winning move right there by Jonathan Cofield. Almost literally killed the car going into the pits. I'm telling you, well, that right there, those moves right there can win you a race. It can win you a championship. It can win you a lot of things. Cofield was able to keep the pressure away from him and be able to keep that car as straight as he possibly could going into the pits. That right there, that move with his skill and his expertise, that may have just saved his race.
Jacob, we actually have breaking news up here in the broadcast booth. Jonathan Cofield has been black flagged for this race here. He is parked down pit road. That brings an end to what has been an extraordinary night of not giving up. It looks like his race is over here at Pocono.
That is very unfortunate. It would have been, honestly, a hell of a save if Jonathan Cofield could have kept that car straight and kept it under the speed limit. Honestly, I thought that he had it slowed down the best that he could, but I mean, you can only use the brakes so much, Will. I mean, you can only do so much when the car is at a 45-degree angle going into the pits. But, I mean, honestly, I still don't think he's going to be in that bad a shape. He's got one of the fastest cars out here on the track. Obviously, he's probably going to be in real bad shape to possibly win this race, but he's still going to be able to get a very good finish. We've seen the lap times that Jonathan Cofield's been able to pop off here in this race, so I wouldn't count him out to get a good finish, and I wouldn't count him out, you know, if possibly a caution was to happen in this race. I know we don't like saying it, but I know we love the drama. You know I do, Will. I love the drama in these races, so anything is possible. I mean, he's still not out of it. He's lapped down right now, but he's still not out of it. Anything can happen in this race.
Yeah, I just came back on the lead lap there. Jonathan Cofield in the 58 machine will be registered 19th on the grid right now with 11 laps to go. And I was all dark and dismal about Jonathan Cofield just because my heart breaks from the fight that he put forth here tonight to stay inside the top 5, all the adversity he fought for, and then to see his night end like that. And I think it's just because he was just too fast, too late in the race right there, Jacob, to control that car. But all attention should now be brought to the top of the grid, and that's Lucas Lyons leading the way in that 25.
Yeah, Lucas Lyons is going to look like he's going to see if he can stretch it just a little bit, see if he can get something going, see if he can maybe wait on that caution. He saw what Jonathan Cofield was able to do with those fresher tires. We'll see if that's going to be able to work out for him as he will make a trip to pit road, get him 4 fresh tires, and fill himself up. Another guy that we haven't actually talked about a lot, that's Jeff Foyt. We haven't talked about him a lot right here, running real good right now, running the number 90 Chevrolet. Love to see the Chevrolets out here. Like I said, I'm a Chevy man, but nice to see, you know, Jeff Foyt getting out here and getting some good seat time, getting in some TV time, I guess you could say, seeing, you know, what he can do out here at Pocono as well. But I'm telling you, some of these lap times I'm seeing right now, David Farmer has actually got a lot of help right behind him. That's James Silvers. We talked about James making a move on him earlier, kind of got into his door a little bit. A little hard racing, clean racing, but a lot of hard racing between these two guys. Once all these pit stops cycle out, these will be the guys that will be at the front of this field battling for the win. And not to mention, Brandon Holder 2 seconds back from these guys as well. So Brandon's not out of this at all by no means as well. So we talked about, Will, anything is possible, but right now, Lucas Lyons, he's getting a lot of good TV time running up front.
Yeah, Lucas Lyons, indeed, right there in the 25 machine. Jeff Foyt as well in that 90. Racing out of Sao Paulo, Brazil, another Brazilian in the field. We also have Justin Winters up there at that 5. I haven't spoke about him here tonight, racing out of Henderson, Kentucky, another Bluegrass racer here tonight. You get the theme of this league here, Jacob. A lot of Kentuckians racing in this tricky triangle as Justin Winters in that 5, currently inside the top 5.
Yeah, and that's awesome to see with all the Bluegrass guys, with David Farmer, and obviously right here with Justin Winters, a lot of guys from the great state of Kentucky. I've never actually been able to visit the great state of Kentucky. I always wanted to check it out, but I've always heard some great things about the Bluegrass state, and he's showing them how to do it. Bluegrass guy doing real good right here on the Bluegrass iRacing Cup Series here at Pocono Raceway. And right now we got Lucas Lyons. Looks like he's actually going to pull it down pit road. So he stayed out and stretched it as long as he could. Jeff Foyt, he's actually going to be one of those guys. He is going to take the lead unless he goes down pit road as well.
He is down
Jeff
pit
Winters.
road.
Oh, so Jeff's going down pit road.
Looks like we have some dominoes falling quickly here tonight. Jacob, right now, our race leader, a new race leader, Chuck Blake, and the 49 machine now leading the way.
Oh, okay. So, well, now Chuck Blake. I mean, there's another guy we haven't talked about. Started 27th all the way up to 2nd. So Chuck Blake doing a real good job trying to get what he can. But I'm telling you, I mean, Will, we talk about all these guys going down pit road and making these strategy moves. I'm still watching this battle back here for the 4th spot. Silvers is giving Farmer all he has right now. I mean, literally up his back bumper, trying to get Farmer to slip up just that little bit and see if Silvers is able to get by him. And obviously we'll take the lead of this race once these other guys go down and make those pit stops. So Farmer trying to hold off Silvers the best that he can, but also still trying to navigate through some of this lap traffic.
Yeah, the 49 machine of Chuck Blake now down pit road, and that battle that we're talking about between the 84 and David Farmer and James Silvers will be a battle for the lead, as now we ride on board our race leader Justin Winters in that 5. He'll be our race leader for just a little while, about 11 lap difference between 1st and 2nd in equipment. 6 laps to go here. Jacob, we're gonna watch that battle between the 17 and 84. That's gonna be a 2-car battle to the checker flag.
It's going to be a 2-car battle, but we don't know what Winters has been doing. We haven't talked a lot about him. We haven't really been watching a lot of Justin Winters. Maybe he's doing that fuel saving mode. Maybe that's what he's trying to do. Maybe he may have something for David Farmer and James Silvers. As you see, Winters staying out right here with 5 laps to go. Farmer and Silvers is catching him in a hurry, but Winters seeing if he may be trying to stretch this right here and play spoiler here at Pocono, see if he can just out of nowhere be one of those guys. Like we said, where did he come from? He may be one of those guys to be able to pull this out tonight here at Pocono.
And Jacob, I hypothetically pop that question to you. What if a driver undercuts the field? And we talked about the result of what would happen if you undercut. You might run out of track. You might run out of time. I feel like Justin Winters might have that strategy down to a T with 5 laps to go right now. He is in what's called the catbird seat. He's watching the rest of the field, watching them scramble to get to him with a 6-second lead. Unless he heads down pit road and he can keep this 5 machine on the racetrack, he might get it done here tonight, Jacob.
Well, we talked about it, like I said earlier, Will, and I've said it a couple of times, that this is going to be one of those fuel strategy races right here, and he is trying to make it work the best that he possibly can with what he has. Winters really making these guys work for them. And granted, Farmer and Silvers, they are catching him in a hurry right now. Farmer's back about 6 seconds. Silvers obviously about 3/10 off back of Farmer. I don't know. He may be able to pull this out. It'd be nice to see a Bluegrass boy win it right here in the Bluegrass iRacing Cup Series.
If the 5 machine can stay out, Justin Winters will have an incredible turnaround from last week, finishing in the 30th position. He'll go from 30th last week to victory lane this week. If the 5 can stay out right now, he'll make it 3 laps to go. Throw up those threes. Rest in peace to Dale Earnhardt, as the 5 machine will take us down to corner number 1.
And he's putting down some decent lap times right here, Will. To be honest with you, David Farmer and James Silvers just hit 53.5 and 53.7 respectively. Jeff Winters running a 55.2, so he's giving up 2 seconds a lap right here. He might be able to, I don't know. He's going to have to pick up the pace just a little bit right here if he wants to be able to stay in front. He just came off of turn number 2. Here comes Farmer. Here comes Silvers. They just came off of turn number 2, so they are catching him in a hurry. But they may be able to get it going right here. Winters may be sitting there going, hopefully Farmer and Silvers race it out door to door and start beating and banging back and forth. Winters all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to get the shortest lane, even on the front stretch. Just trying to save every little bit that he can, see if he can play spoiler tonight.
Yeah, right now Justin Winters still holding on with that 2-second lead as the laps are ticking down. 2 laps to go. David Farmers, James Silvers right there as well in that podium position. We see this excellent shot here on the Bluegrass Racing Cup Series. I hope you have enjoyed the show here tonight, because we are in for some fireworks. If Justin Winters can hold on, what a win it would be for the 5. What a win it would be for the 84 David Farmer, though, one of the fastest cars here tonight. James Silvers, though, trying to spoil the party, Jacob, as we're going to make it just about 2 laps to go.
And he's got 2.5 miles to make it done right here. Justin Winters, seeing if he can take that Bluegrass theme for the series where he's from Kentucky. White flag. Justin Winters across the stripe. Farmer back 1 second right now. Silver's back 1.3. Winters may want to put the hammer down right now if he wants any shots as he goes up the track in turn 1, obviously. And he's down. It looks like he may be out of fuel. No, he is not. He's still going.
Oh, no!
Farmer and them still coming at him right here.
Oh, no, as you see, Justin Winters just went low on the track off of 2. That's going to open the door for the 84. David Farmer was just about to give the win to the 5 machine. There goes the 84 to the inside here. See if he has enough. Down into the last corner. David Farmer is going to lead the way the last set of corners. Justin Winters will not have enough, as David Farmer, the Red Rocket, here tonight. The 84 will get the checkered flag on the Chickadee Triangle.
And Winters looks like he is out of gas going across the stripe. Still going to be able to make it home in 3rd spot. Looked like Silvers was able to get by him. Brandon Holder, one of those guys, like I said, where did he come from? All the way from the back, and finishing 4th. And Lucas Lyons, out of nowhere, we barely talked about him as well. Finishing top 5. Farmer, Silvers, Winters, Holder, and Lucas Lyons is your top 5. Will, what a race all the way down to the line.
Oof. Oh my goodness. We thought Justin Winters had it there. I thought I was about to give him the champion outro, if you will, heading into those last set of corners. We saw him in the exit at 2, lost control of that machine, and once you give that little bit of inch to David Farmer, that's all he needed. The Red Rocket went soaring by, and boy, it must feel sweet to get this victory here tonight. This is only his 2nd race of this season, Jacob. To go from your first debut into now to a race winner must feel excellent behind the wheel of 84.
Well, any win, honestly, any win, is bittersweet, because I've won a bunch of races on iRacing, not as much as I would like. I would love to have won more races that I've lost, obviously, but you take every win that you can and you savor it, because you never know when that next win's going to come. It could come next week. It could come tomorrow night in an official race. It could come in the next 5 minutes in an official race or in a hosted race or whatever. You never know when those wins will come. But with that, or how that race played out and how that finish was, it's got to be really, really awesome I know David Farmer. We'll talk to him here in a little bit, but it was awesome to see that. And it's bittersweet for Justin Winters. I mean, he was just a half a lap from being there. I mean, if the start-finish line would have been over in turn number 2, he would have had this race in the bag. But, I mean, still a very good finish for somebody that we barely talked about, just out of nowhere, coming home on the podium. So, I mean, it was an awesome race to watch, Will.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talked about our top 5. Let's look at who finished outside of the top 5 here tonight. With the 24 machine of Sean Kaiser, he'll tie for one of the biggest movers of the race, finishing 6th. 7th position, we'll have the 97 machine of Alex Healy. 8th position is Jeff Foyt. That Brazilian will finish inside the top 10. 9th position, we'll have a fellow Brazilian there in Rafael Hubie in the 21 machine. Rounding out our top 10, though, is the 85 machine of Daniel Cunningham. Look at Drew Prohl in the 11th spot. Barrett Morton finishing 12th here tonight. Jason Bridges in that 34 will finish 13th. Michaela Robinson in that 45 will finish 14th. And our top 15 will be Dustin Ryan Settle.
And then Cody Anderson, he's going to finish in 16th. Charles Blake going to be in 17th. Jonathan Cofield, man, I mean, that's a tough pill to swallow. Was able to finish on the lead lap, but still going to come home 18th. Would have been one of those guys that would have given David Farmer and James Silvers a run for their money had he not had that unfortunate speeding penalty. Bill Miller going to fight all the way from 30th, going to finish 19th. Tony Iverson going to finish in the 20th position. And then Matt Greiner, Casey Ryback, Ryan Smith, John Swartz. Some of these guys right here was caught up in those earlier accidents. John Swartz in 24th. And then TJ Hanley, Wes Wiegand, and then GT Hawkins, your point leader, going to finish in 27th. That's going to be a real big. That's going to really shake up these points. And then Jonathan Atkins, Michael Costics, Radburn Shutters, Jonah Colbert, and R.S. Centers. That will be the 32 drivers that was here at Pocono tonight.
And that's the official results here in the Bluegrass iRacing Cup Series here from Pocono. We're going to step aside for just a short break. We'll hear from those podium finishers in just a moment. Welcome back, everybody, to the Bluegrass iRacing Cup Series. We just saw the conclusion of an excellent race here that we just saw. Unfortunately, Justin Winters in that 5 machine just had the slightest mistake that opened the door for David Farmer to win this race. But I believe, Jacob, you're catching up with Justin Winters down pit road.
Yeah, we got Justin Winters going to be coming right here in the booth here in a short matter of moments. Real heartbreaking. We're gonna be able to talk to Justin here in a second, and we got Justin now. Justin, you got a copy?
I got you.
Justin, man, I'll be honest with you. Me and Will Tiller up here in the booth, we was talking the whole time. We didn't know if you was gonna be able to make it, and we was really hoping that you was gonna be able to. I mean, was there anything different right there that you could have been able to do just to be able to do anything to try to win this race, or was your bed basically made and you just had to deal with what the outcome was?
Well, the cycle right before this cycle, I debated on staying out one more lap. I think I could have won another lap, but I was too worried that if I waited too long, that these guys they would be able to go full throttle and I would lose time there. That's the only thing I really think I could have did different. I mean, I topped off like I should have, started in the back, started staving the whole run. I ended up going like 24, 23 laps on a tank of fuel where I think the average was right around 19, 19, 20, something like that. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't have the fastest car in the field, so I was like, you know what? I've won a couple races like this. Let's see what we can do. And to be honest, I was a turn and a half away from doing it again. So I don't know that there was much more I could have done different.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, you put up one hell of a fight to be able to try to make it work. But I'm going to rattle off 3 tracks right here. You got Kansas, you got Michigan, and you got Bristol Dirt. Those are those next 3 races for this season in the Bluegrass iRacing Cup Series. Which one of those tracks are you most looking forward to? Kansas, Michigan, or Bristol Dirt?
Kansas for sure. I'm a high rider. I like riding the wall. Hopefully, in these cars, you can ride the wall with the new setup they got. But I'm a wall rider, man. So I'm excited for Kansas.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, if you was able to pull out anything out of the ordinary, basically from what you did last night, if you're be able to pull that out next week when the Bluegrass or when the Bluegrass iRacing Cup Series goes to Kansas, that will be awesome. But Justin Winter's coming home third tonight. You got anybody that you want to thank to make this possible?
Yeah, I think Boots Industries, 85 years on the hood. Huffman Designs, I always got the sharpest car in the field. Old school diecast. Check Deb out in Evansville. Get all your diecast. KPG, Kinder Performance, makes the best carts in North Carolina. And just a shout out to you guys for putting on a good broadcast, and David and Silvers for coming 1-2. Like I said, they were class of the field. I think Dave led a lot of laps. But yeah, that's about it, guys. And good job.
Well, Justin Winter's coming home third from Henderson, Kentucky. The Bluegrass man up here that really was doing all he could, almost had it, just a half a lap away from the victory lane. But let's see if we got Will. Have you got James Silvers?
Yeah, catching up with James Silvers right now here in the Bluegrass iRacing Cup Series. And James, you're going to come home second here tonight. And what seemed like a caution-filled race, you just stayed in your pace. You stayed up there inside the top 5. Fast car all night. Second place is not too shabby. Break down this race for us here tonight.
Yeah, to be honest, coming home second tonight was actually probably the best result we could have got. Me and David were trying pretty hard right there towards the end of that run. I was giving him all I had, and he was giving me all he had, and we was just fighting really, really hard right there, and he ended up besting me. But, shout out to him, though, for winning the race, and shout out to Winners for trying to win the race on fuel strategy. That was pretty wild gamble right there. But overall, yeah, for me personally, it's a pretty good race.
Yeah, let's talk about that strategy there at the end of the race. We saw different drivers trying different things. Some drivers trying to undercut the rest of the field. We saw you last head down pit road, the last lap 86. It looked like you and only a handful of other drivers picked that strategy. What was the mindset behind that move?
Well, we already had the strategy before the race even started, and everything kind of fell in our laps. Even though the cautions did come in different times, it still played right into our lap. So basically, I was just trying to make sure I could try to pit a lap before David right there on the last pit stop and maybe get the advantage. But he still came out in front of me, and he did a good job, man. And it's probably some of the best racing I've ever been a part of right there.
Yeah, it was an excellent show for us up here in the booth. And one thing I wanted to ask you as well, we had a lot of speed out of Jonathan Cofield here tonight. You just talked about your battles with the 84 machine. Did any of those things come into play? You saw the issues out of the 5 machine of Justin Winters, or was it just the same mindset for the 17, just keep my path and see what happens at the end?
Yeah, basically just keeping my own path and trying to make sure that we can get the best result from the strategy that we've got. and hopefully we can keep doing this, and because that's my second place finish this season, so hopefully we can get another one. And I want to really want to win a race right now because I'm tired of finishing second.
Yes, sir. You're the Kyle Naughton of the Bluegrass iRacing Cup Series here in James. It sounds like it, though, and if you keep racing the way you've been racing here, you'll eventually knock into victory lane. But here tonight, you'll finish second. Great run. It sounds like you're pretty cool with that. It's your second finish here this season. Pretty good run so far early on. James, before we let you go here tonight, anybody you wanted to shout out, anybody you wanted to thank that puts this 17 on the podium?
Yeah, I'd like to shout out y'all with UDTV and helping step in for Steve and putting on a pretty good broadcast. And shout out to Jason Collins for putting together such a great league of Bluegrass iRacing series. This is probably one of the best leagues on iRacing. I'd like to shout out all the sponsors at Cornerstone and everybody at Cornerstone Motorsports. That's a pretty good run tonight. We had some people have some bad finishes, but we'll bounce back next week. But shout out the sponsors. The sponsors, Aerial Professionals, WNC, Function Junction Smoke Shop, GG's of Waynesville, North Carolina, Mountain View Detailing, and Waynesville Tire. And I'd like to shout out my girlfriend, Shelby. I love you, baby.
Here we go. And that's the driver of the 17 machine, Mr. James Silvers. Appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, appreciate it. Y'all have a good night.
There we go, Jacob. That was our second place finisher of the night, Mr. James Silver. Sounds like he had a lot of speed behind the wheel. That 17 could just not get past Mr. Red Rocket himself. Things are crazy down victory lane, but I believe you are catching up with him as the confetti's falling.
Yeah, we got champagne flying everywhere, all over the place for this crazy finish that we was able to see right here. David Farmer, do you have me, bud?
Got you guys loud and clear.
He sounds like he is calm, cool, and collected with everything going on. David, honestly, first question we got. You started this race ninth. You look like you basically went out there and waxed the field. I mean, did you maybe just slip up a little bit in qualifying, or was that, you was just running race pace more or less for qualifying? Was that what it was?
I guess so. Apparently I hadn't practiced. I jumped in here 15 minutes or 20 minutes before the session started, and it was the first time I drove the Cup car around the Pocono this season. But I think the experience that I was able to gain last night in the Xfinity race is really what helped me get to the finish line tonight.
All right, and then we're going to talk about that right there with the finish in this race. And you knew, honestly, with Jason Winters was up front, or excuse me, Justin Winters was up front, and he was obviously playing that crazy strategy, trying to make it all the way to the end. I mean, we knew, obviously you knew that you was going to be able to get close to him. Was you worried more about him, or was you worried more about Silvers that was right up your back bumper? Because you had two races basically that was going on. You had the guy you was trying to catch and the one guy that you was trying to hold off. Which one was you worried about the most?
To be honest with you, it was both of them. I mean, Silvers is fast. He's super fast, and Winters is always got the strategy on point. He's super good with strategy and things. But I kind of knew going into it, this car, being behind somebody, it's really hard to pass at Pocono. I found that out last night in the Xfinity race, and so I guess I was a little bit less worried about James, and I wasn't worried about Winters at all until we were 3 laps to go, and I wasn't gaining as much as I wanted to gain on him. Luckily, I guess he pushed a little earlier. I'm not sure what exactly happened, but I was able to come around him. But man, it was scary there for a minute, because whenever I came out of pit road on the last stop, I was a full second ahead of James, and he caught me almost instantly. Within 2 laps, he was right on my bumper, and it was just go as fast as I can and hope that he makes a mistake, which I don't think he did. I think it was just dirty air the whole way.
Well, it was a hell of a race for us to watch up here. And I just got through talking to Winters, and he said that some of these races coming up, he's actually looking forward to Kansas. So I'll basically give you the same deal right here. We got Kansas, we got Michigan, and Bristol Dirt. I believe those are the next races that y'all have in y'all's schedule. Which one of those 3 races are you looking forward to the most?
To be honest with you, there's two of the top tracks that I make sure I race every time they come on officials is Kansas and Michigan. I love those tracks. I love the way they race. They're real big flowy tracks. I like Kansas. You're riding the high line 2 or 3 laps in, so it's just keeping it on the wall and keeping it clean. and finding ways to pass. It's fun to try to find different ways to pass, especially in this car. And then Michigan is just, it's going to be a tight field. It's a big draft track. There's not a way you can't really run away on like Pocono. You can't really run away on tires or anything like that because the draft is so strong with such high speed. So I'm super looking forward to the next 2 weeks.
You sound excited for the next couple of weeks, and you sound excited for what you accomplished tonight. But before we let you go, David Farmer, is there anybody that you want to thank that was able to make this possible right here?
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you guys. I'm sure everybody said this, but thank you guys for stepping up for Steve, and hopefully he gets feeling better soon. We love Steve, so get him back in the booth. We definitely enjoy you guys being in the booth as well. So thank you for that. Thank you for Jason. Thank you to Jason for always putting on a good league for us. I don't think there's another league out there in iRacing that's as much fun and as close packed as far as skill level as this league is. He's done a really good job with that, and thank my family and friends, and then last and probably first, thank my teammates on the Cup team here. We had a really good points night for the most part. I think we had some issues at the beginning, but other than that, we had a good race, good finishes for everybody all around, and it was a great night.
Well, you will be the one at the pay window, going to be bringing the beer home for the team. So make sure everybody gets some. Make sure everybody gets a little slice of it. But David Farmer taking it home here at Pocono. Congratulations on the win, bud.
You guys have a great night.
You too, buddy. And that is David Farmer, the one that came out of nowhere right at the end. One of the fastest cars on the track. Well, he was able to pull it out.
Absolutely, as we're going to show those official results on the screen as we close out tonight's broadcast. And Jacob, I got to say, it's been an absolute blast being able to call the Bluegrass iRacing Cup Series here. We had multiple lead changes. We had about 6 or 7 cautions there, Jacob. I think a few of them stacked up on one another. But this race really came down, as you mentioned it, to that fuel window, that tire window. We saw Coalfield try to get down pit road. Unfortunately, it was black flagged down there. We saw winners trying to push the envelope. Just a lot of great racing here tonight that culminated with David Farmer, who was one of the fastest cars of the entire race, Jacob, winning here tonight. What are your thoughts about the Bluegrass iRacing Cup Series?
Well, these guys got a great thing going over here. I mean, obviously, we've seen a lot of great action. Will, you touched on it. You had a lot of passing, a lot of battling, a lot of hard racing, a lot of clean racing, a lot of respect out of these guys, and it showed. I mean, we just talked to David Farmer about it, and obviously with James Silvers, these guys talking about that this is a really, really good league, and they showed it tonight. But David Farmer able to come out on top. Justin Winters almost played spoiler to the David Farmer campaign tonight. And we've seen a lot of guys move up through the field. A lot of guys that was up front most of the race. James Silver's up front most of the race. Farmer was up front most of the race. And then you have Brandon Holder back there in 4-star all the way in the back and drove all the way to the front. Just some of these feel-good stories that you love to see. You love to call the races with these feel-good stories, and it makes you feel good, to see guys that may have a little bit of a mishap on something able to bounce back and be able to pull one out of their back bumper, I guess you could say. But all in all, just, a great group of guys from what we've seen tonight, and a lot of respect for these guys, and hopefully it carries over for the rest of the season.
Absolutely. We will be remiss not to thank the Bluegrass iRacing Cup Series for having us here tonight, as well as a shout out to UDTV for hooking us up here tonight, Jacob. For myself, William Tiller, Jacob Reeves, Adam Flieger. Just want to thank everybody for this opportunity here tonight. We also want to thank the wonderful sponsors that are involved with the Bluegrass iRacing Cup Series, and that's Butt Kicker. We also want to thank Coalfield Supply and Service, that wonderful sponsor of the caution flag here tonight. But once again, it's a huge congratulations to the 84 machine, David Farmer. He tames the tricky triangle here tonight. But it was my pleasure to call this race here tonight alongside Jacob Reeves and the money man himself, the man that was provided all the pictures and sounds of the race. Adam Flieger. We hope you all have a wonderful night. We'll catch everybody back here in the Bluegrass iRacing Cup Series. We might not be back, but we hope you do so next Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see you then.